Welcome to the Driveway Garden. I'm gardening here in Portland, Oregon, in the maritime climate of the Pacific Northwest, and I'm trying to find out how much food and how many flowers can I grow in a relatively small space. The first goal is to grow food for my family, flowers for our table, but I'd really like to go beyond that. I want to see whether a garden this size can eventually produce enough of a surplus that I can start sharing some of what I grow with people in my community. I don't know yet if I can actually do that. That's part of the challenge and part of what this garden is about. This is my weekend journal of what's been happening out here. Sometimes I'm harvesting zucchini, peppers, cabbage, kale, and broccoli while I water and clean up the beds. Sometimes I'm at the potting bench getting the next round of vegetables ready for the fall garden. And sometimes I'm experimenting in the bucket workshop, turning old ice cream buckets into pots. And occasionally, I have a very opinionated 3-year-old helping me decide which tomatoes are actually worth growing. Because while I want this garden to produce as much as it possibly can, I don't want to lose sight of why I enjoy being out here in the first place. This is where I come to slow down, to experiment, to learn something new, and hopefully, little by little, to become a better gardener. So this is another week in the Driveway Garden. Come along and let's garden. There was plenty to harvest out here. Zucchini hiding under the leaves, peppers ripening in the sun, cabbage ready to come out, along with kale and broccoli. But while I'm gathering all that food, I'm also doing the less glamorous work that keeps the garden going. It's hot. The beds dry out quickly, and plants that have been growing hard all summer are starting to show some wear. So this is also the time for watering. And I'm pulling out some dead leaves, clearing away debris, and just the general cleaning that I can do while I'm moving through these beds. Today, I'm doing it all together. Call it a garden walk-around. Harvest a little, water a little, clean up whatever I notice along the way. Well, hello. I am back in the bucket workshop, and I have to admit that I did this part without you. I just couldn't wait. I was on a long conference call in my other life, and I needed something to do while I was on the call, and so I whipped out the paintbrush and got the first coat here. I'm using this English Channel Blue, which is, I think it's an eggshell. I look for matte or eggshell or something that's not particularly shiny for kind of the base color. Sometimes I do shiny ones. Sometimes I do shiny ones on purpose, but not for this one. And if you remember going back probably a video or two back to the last time I did the bucket workshop, I was working on this same bucket, and I had put a couple of base coats actually of just cheap black spray paint, cover up the logos and kind of get it there. And so after doing just one coat of the English Channel Blue, I think it actually came out kind of nice. You can see a little bit of the black underneath, and so it technically needs another coat. I was debating whether I really cared about technically, because here in the garden, you would just never know. It's, you know, it's going to be like back here or whatever, right? But figured, you know, I may as well, I've got plenty of paint. It's not too expensive. I may as well go ahead and just slap another coat on there. So that's what I'm doing here. I really have fun experimenting with different colors, so I'm kind of anxious to get done with the paint that I have, use up what I have so I don't waste, and then be able to go back and pick up some different colors to try. Just kind of glob it on there. I mean, I think I do reasonable brush strokes down the middle, but on the top rim there, to get around all the cracks or whatever, I cheat. Instead of really like doing fine detail work, I just glob the paint on there and let it kind of fill in the corners and the cracks and the turns, the edges that the design of this top creates. I might actually get different colors of paint later for fun anyway, because I mean, now that I didn't used to apply the cheap base coat, but now that I've got that trick down, I don't really use a lot of the primary, the main color here on one bucket. So I mean, this could last me for a very long time if I don't, without me ever getting to try different kinds of colors. I do have brown and a green already that I'm rotating in, and I think my next one will actually be, I won't be painting it on, I'll be using a spray paint that I like that is a charcoal black. I wanted to try that with some, and then apply some texture to it. But we haven't actually had as many new ice cream buckets coming my way this summer as I anticipated I might, so it's not, I don't go through that much paint when it's spray paint. Yeah, well, spray paint doesn't last that long, or it doesn't have as much in it, but when I'm just the kind of basic latex paint here actually lasts quite a bit, and I just don't have that many buckets to apply it to. So aside from being somewhat meditative to sit here and paint like this, I don't have to put the mask on for this one. So that's nice. It's like, well, this takes longer than spraying, but spraying means I have to slap on the mask. Okay. All right, there's my coat. I can basically call it, unless there's something wild that happens that I'm not anticipating with how that looks after it dries. That'll be that'll be it. Well, I'm gonna put a texture on it after that, and then decide if that's done or if I want to put this like a lighter version of this over the top of the texture. I haven't concluded that, but assuming that I don't put this over the top of the texture, then that might be done with this channel blue for this project. All right, I'll see you when I get back to this. I'm gonna be trying out this Bleached-Stone texture. The color matters less because I kind of want it to blend in or adopt the color, this channel blue color of the bucket. I just want to give it the texture. So I'm gonna see how that works. This is new to me, and so I previously was using a concrete texture by Behr, which I liked, but I wanted to try something different. I want to try some different things out and see how it looks. So that's what we're gonna do here. Okay, interesting. I really like how it comes out. It's got more substance to it than a previous texture that I provided, but it is all I used, but it's also putting more color down. It's not a bad result. I think that, but what I think I might try to do is I'll see how it looks and feels after it dries. And then what I might do is take the channel blue and dilute it with some water maybe. And then, so it's kind of got a thin, and then see if I can coat over the top without ruining the texture. That would be, and if I paint over the top and then I ruin the texture, then it's all for naught. So anyway, this experiment is ongoing. There they are. The first orange Paruche and the first tomatoes all together. It's July 22nd. Well, actually, I did have one orange Paruche a few days ago, but I ate it before I had the discipline to get my camera out and share it with you all. Gotta look around, yeah. Stand closer to the, there you go. And then, yeah, the top one, Maddie, is the most ripe. If you want to pick it, you can try it.
I don't like this one. Yeah. I think this one is for you.
Thank you. But what? Try the other one. Are you gonna eat one, or do you just wanna? Do you want to try Dad's?
No, I don't like.
You don't like tomatoes?
I don't like this one.
Why not? What's wrong with this one?
It's not good. I only like the yellow ones.
This one is the sweetest.
You like the orange one. I like the yellow one. The yellow
When you want, can you just take a bite to try it?
No, I'm not taking a bite.
Maddie, I'm telling you, this is the best tomato you can have. It's better than the yellow ones for sure.
I like this one. I don't like that one's bizarre.
You like the red ones?
I like this ones. And the red ones too.
What about this one right here?
Oh, no. I don't like. Yeah, I like them. I like this one. Huh. Huh. There.
How is it?
I use with pretty good.
You like that one? Do you want to share with Dad? Or do you want to eat the whole thing? You're pretty opinionated about what tomatoes you like. Okay, well, I'm back at the bucket workshop here, and the stone texture that I was spraying on earlier has dried, and you can see that the channel blue is coming out from underneath it, which I think makes sense then, that maybe kind of putting a base layer of what the overall color wants to be first makes sense, and then putting the texture on. But now, while this looks cool as is, I want to see if I can get the texture but keep the blue, keep it mostly blue. And so I have put the channel blue paint in this cup and just did like 50-50, the channel blue 50% water, to try to dilute it and see if I can get a very light coat of blue over the top of the texture is what I'm trying to achieve here. So we'll see how that works. The idea is that I want to keep the texture, the bumpy texture, but have it be white instead of blue. And the reason I'm diluting the paint is so that latex paint's otherwise pretty thick, and it could kind of like fill in the gaps and really reduce the effect of the texture. I think I didn't dilute it, was what my thought was. I don't really know. But let's see how this goes. The goal being that it's blue but has that kind of bumpy stone look to it. My initial thought, just looking at it without it being dried, is that yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I guess the white speckle on top of the blue was so striking in and of itself that obviously I'm losing that by putting this blue layer on top of it. But definitely left some texture. Left the look of some texture there. Let's let this coat dry and see what that actually looks like when I'm all done with it. All right. I am curious and anxious to see how that looks. Okay, so if you've been following along my bucket workshop saga, my latest bucket workshop saga, I had used this channel blue paint on here. I had sprayed some stone texture that was kind of a white color, and then I diluted the channel paint and repainted over the top of it because it was very, very white speckled, and so I wanted to see if I could get the texture but keep the blue look. I am kind of getting the texture. I'm not sure how much it would be seen from far away, but I'm also getting a lot of still white streaks in there, so I feel like maybe I need another coat of this diluted. A different experiment might be to just not dilute the paint. I'd be curious to see if maybe I'm just causing myself extra work there that's unnecessary. I have the diluted paint still left over from yesterday, so I'm gonna apply another coat here and we'll see how that goes. Just trying to shore up the white streaking so it looks a little more, so the color looks a little more intentional, less sloppy, but maybe aging over time would cause that anyway, and so maybe it just makes it look more aged. Have some of that streaking. The faux stone coming out underneath the paint kind of thing. Okay, That's it. I got it all the way around. Another just light coat of paint over the top there, and we'll see how that does. I mean, I think where I was seeing it a lot was the bottom, so let me just go through and specifically get this bottom here. Good. All right. We'll let it dry and see how it comes out. All right, well, welcome back. I am now at the potting bench, potting up the remainder of my fall vegetables. You may have seen in a prior segment that I was potting up some lettuces, some lettuce. I did some Chinese cabbage, some bok choy, and some broccoli. And I have some remaining broccoli here to do in beets. But I'm gonna start with the beets, and then I'll see how many I have left over and decide how many of the how many I'll try to save from the multi-sown broccoli here, because I can probably save some by, you know, instead of just thinning them, I've got 2 or 3 in a cell. I can actually turn those into 2 or 3 plants if I so desire. With regard to the beets, though, each one of these cells is just one container, because they will be sown here together, and then this whole thing will be thrown into the garden bed eventually together, because I usually will grow beets together in a cluster like that, exactly like that. So I'm gonna take the beet out, the plug out, make a little indentation for it here. And this potting soil came to me fertilized. Bought it from the store already fertilized, so I don't need to add fertilizer to this. Saves step here in this case. I don't necessarily like to do that, although I really should just give up and admit that the scientists who put the potting soil together with the fertilizer usually do a better job than I do. But the controller in me sometimes feels like I don't like the fertilizer being in the soil already, because I want to decide when the fertilizer goes in, and I want to decide the exact kind and amounts of the fertilizer and so on. But I think as much as that's interesting from a growing standpoint to be playing with those different levers, this kind of soil that has just a all-purpose fertilizer already in it usually serves my purposes pretty well. It keeps me from messing myself up, so to speak. So, okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those in there. And now I'm gonna do one more. It's okay. Hi, Maddie, where are you guys going?
To the park.
Oh, to the park, okay. All right, have fun at the park. Let's see here, okay. On there. Got 2 more after this. More here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I missed one here, so I'm just gonna rotate those around so I can kind of keep them together. This one's looking kind of scraggly. We'll see how it goes. There's probably at least one in there. That's good. Throw my tag in there, although a tag is not very necessary. I know what beets look like, so they're pretty unique. So I won't have other things in the holding area that look like beets. So, and I know what varieties I'm growing and all that. When it comes to the beets, it's not like I'm growing lots of different varieties. I have a Detroit beet, and then I have I think a Gold Touch gold beet, and that's it for this season. So it's either a red beet or a yellow beet. I'm on to the broccoli here, and you'll see. There we go. Yeah, that comes apart nicely. So I'm just going to drop one in there. Now I'm burying the stem. Technically, there is concern that might, this is not like a tomato plant. The broccoli is not going to grow roots on its stem. It's not designed for that. So, but I've found in my experience it doesn't. It works out okay. And the advantage of doing it right now is that it cheats the legginess that has developed in these. Reminds me of I don't know what the technical term is, but contractors, like when they're creating holes for electrical outlets and light switches and things like that in your home when they're building a house. Ideally, it would be measured perfectly and the hole would match exactly what the plate be, but occasionally there's a goof or something went wrong. I had that happen. I was taking a hand at refurbishing an old house on my own. I didn't get very far with it, by the way. I'm not that handy, so don't be thinking I'm anything like a contractor. I was just playing around. But I made the hole larger than it should be, so a standard faceplate wouldn't fit it. And so they have what are called goof plates. I don't know if that's the normal, what the contractors actually call it, but that's what I called it. So like a goof plate, which is an oversized plate that allows you to cover up the fact that you made a hole in the wall that was too big for a standard outlet cover or a standard light switch cover. And that's kind of what I was you can make your hole. I make my plant holes after transplanting some seedlings sometimes deeper than I otherwise would need to be. It's my version of the goof plate because it buries the evidence of legginess I created by the way I was growing it. Now, in my defense, I kind of didn't have a choice because we're trying to grow these in the hot of summer. You know, right now in beginning of August is usually the hottest time of year here in Portland, Oregon. So kind of keep it in a more shaded environment so it doesn't get fried by the sun. So, you know, just getting that formula exactly correct. You know, how do you keep it shaded so it's not too hot, but also get just enough sun that it's not too leggy? I haven't cracked that formula. So I'm not getting them too hot. They're not getting totally wiped out by the sun, but as a result, they are a little bit leggy because I'm not putting them in direct sunlight. Okay, well, I've got a nice big tray here, broccolis and some beets, and so I'm gonna go place down in my holding area. I've finished, or I've gone as far as I'm gonna go on this blue bucket with the stone texture to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a handle on here and we'll finish this up, and then we'll do something we haven't done in a little while. We will go plant up a pot. Okay, that's ready. I will meet you at the potting bench. Okay, well, welcome back over here to the potting bench. I've got our blue textured pot converted from an ice cream bucket here, and I've filled it with some potting soil, pre-moistened it, and now I'm going to pot up this Dahlia bulb. I have a few more that have sprouted that I haven't found places for yet. Given that we're not adding ice cream buckets that quickly to the portfolio, I may just plant the remainder in the ground somewhere. And then I've also got some asters that I'll throw around that. So let's take this out first and see what we got here. So we got some healthy roots going on there. And I'll just make myself some space right in there. Drop that in. Okay. And now I've got an aster here. That's the root side of it. And I'm gonna pot that up here. It's kind of the last of the remaining asters. They've been root bound in their in their containers. I didn't know if I'd even get these planted. They were just kind of the leftovers, but now that I have this additional bucket to plant, we may as well, right? May as well give them a home. Let them see if they can carry out the rest of this season, which will be kind of August into September. We're at the beginning of August now, so they've got about 60 days to flourish and do something, or be done with it. That's it. With those 3 asters, that's enough. I mean, it doesn't need to be any more than that for this bucket. So short but sweet. That's what we have on the potting up the bucket, getting another dahlia. I was doing a lot of this a month ago and then haven't had much of it going on, and so I figured it was an interesting return to an old habit that we've had. Harvesting today, and wanted to share this. I don't want to be too premature in claiming victory. This is a Howden pumpkin, and there's one, I don't know if you can see it right up there, growing as well. This plant was started way back there in the corner of the cherry tree bed, and it grew all the way over here, and then it's wrapped up this trellis, and now it's growing up into the cherry tree. And well, this is the thing that I think people said, well, that's just silly. That's impossible. You're misleading people, telling them you're going to grow pumpkins there. And I even said it was silly, so no shame on them. I thought it was silly too. I was skeptical that I would get anything, but I didn't have anything to lose. I didn't have another place to grow pumpkins anyway. But here we are. It's working so far. But it's beginning of August, and we still got a long way through October for those to grow and mature. So we can't claim victory yet, but you see the possibilities here. There are possibilities. Okay, well, if you've followed in some of my prior videos, you may have seen that my lettuce didn't germinate. I had a few lettuce that germinated, but I didn't have as many as I planted that germinated a couple of weeks ago when I planted them. At this point, they should have already germinated, and I suspect I'm going to blame the heat, the weather, on that, which I don't have reason to believe it's going to be even any better result this time, but I'm going to just give it another try. So I'm going to plant some more lettuce seeds here, but I don't want to do a whole tray of lettuce because I didn't have a place to put a whole tray of lettuce out in the garden anyway. So I think I'll do some lettuce, and then unless I make a game time change, I will throw some more beans in for the rest of it, and that'll be kind of my final round of beans. I wasn't planning on another round of beans there, but I may as well since I've got the lettuce to plant. So I'm going to start with what's been a favorite of ours in the garden this year, this ruby red leaf lettuce. And I'm not intending to multi-sow these, but I will put more than one seed in each cell. You may have heard me say this before, that's just backup. That's just, lettuce seeds are relatively cheap, so you may as well plant a few extra just for germination. Even with planting a few extra, I didn't get good germination on the last round, so. Okay, so that's 12 cells. That would be a lot if they actually all came out. They won't. If I'm doing 12 cells of each variety, and I've got 3 varieties to do here, that would be way more lettuce than I could support in the garden, but they all will not come out, so. I'm not worried about having a glut of lettuce right now. Okay, so I've got some romaine lettuce here. And then finally, the one that hasn't done well for me all year, even in the spring, this one didn't do particularly well for me. And this one might be simply because it's older seed, but it's some Bibb lettuce. Bibb butterhead lettuce. Excuse me. Hope you all survived the smoke. I am trying to make up for lost gardening time today. At the end of the week, during the week, it was too smoky to really be outside, and it was frustrating to be inside, but skies are clear anyway right now, so I'm out here getting at it. Hope you all survived the smoke. That is, if you happen to be in my area. Many of you are not in my area, and you probably have other environmental challenges that you're dealing with. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know, I'm not even gonna bother. Oh, this one says red leaf on it anyway, so, but I was gonna say I'm not even gonna bother with the labels because I'm planting so few things, I should know what it is. Ha ha ha, I say that now. And then later it'll be like, what happened to my... I thought I planted lettuce in here. What kind did I plant? Or what? Why did this come out differently? Why did I input romaines here when I thought I had a loose leaf? There's video to keep me honest though. And if you're watching, maybe you'll comment back to me when I claim to not remember what I have. Okay. That's all the lettuce. So now, like I said, I'm gonna make use of the whole tray here. I hate to waste a tray sitting there in storage. I could just plant half and let it be. I hate that idea, so I'm gonna throw some more beans in here. Give me one more round of bush beans before the end of the season. And it's not necessarily the case that this is the last possible week you could plant. I just know my own schedule and what I'll be doing, and it's likely to be the last week that I get around to planting something because I probably will be busy next week, so I wouldn't plant. So, you know, before long, the window narrows. It's like, well, you probably have a few weeks, but I don't always have the time to do it every single week. So what seems like something you can do for a few weeks actually narrows down to something that if you have the time to do it now, you just got to do it now. Whoops, dropped 2 in there by accident. I'm not intentionally planting 2 beans in a cell. My fingers are slipping on some of these. Okay, I ran out of the purple beans, so I had some yellow beans left over from the spring, so I'll go ahead and throw those in there too. Looks like I might finish those off. It's one benefit of this exercise. I get to finish off some beans. Okay, well, I finished off all my yellow and purple beans. I don't have any others. I do have green. That's a pretty iffy thing for me to do, but you know what? The reason why I didn't plant these green bush beans earlier this year was because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to get confused with shelling beans I have that are going to present as green. I didn't want to confuse them. But those shelling beans are well underway. I mean, they're at the point that they're aging. They're sized up. The beans are plumping into them now. They'll be ready to harvest probably in the next 30 days. So these green beans should not get confused with those because these would be a newer set of beans, and then that would mean that they are good to eat off the vine, good to eat off the bush, I should say. Okay. There we go. I am at this point running low on potting mix. So if I was going to try to plant up a bunch more of anything, I would probably have to run out and get a bag of potting mix. And you may have seen earlier in the season, at the beginning of the season, when I'm potting up at scale, I get pickup truckloads, my pickup truck of potting mix to use. Kind of be more economical that way than buying individual bags. But when you get to this time of year, I can't really use a full pickup truckload of potting mix, and I don't have storage capacity on this property, so it would be problematic for me to have a whole pickup truckload of potting mix at this point. So if I need to have more, I would just buy an individual bag, the way the lay gardener does, rather than my kind of scale solutions that I might otherwise deploy. So that's it for today. I've got some lettuce, I've got some beans. We're ready to rock.